Hello, hello. Hey, welcome to Queens and Kings podcast with Bo, number 3, which is pretty exciting that we're kick this thing off and actually making it happen. I love to do something that I'm really passionate about, and so there's always these little steps of like getting confident enough to just jump forward. But there's just like little steps, and eventually, you get there. So it's very exciting to be doing this right now. I'm just adjusting my little hair thing here. It's interesting because I'm wondering how long it grows, because it just keeps growing, this thing here. Pretty interesting. I started growing it after seeing Game of Thrones, and I think it was Drago. He had that nice braid here. I was like, I want to do that. So yeah, hence maybe 5, 6, 7 years later, we're at this point. So yeah, fun. It's quite fun with hair to know. No one really knows where their hair grows to. It's like no one really lets their hair grow as long as it grows. Like there's a girl I follow on TikTok who has her hair down to her like ankles. It's like this beautiful like golden white hair, blondie hair. Yeah, pretty amazing. So yeah, it's like what can we do with our hair? Hence why I've grown my hair for the last 5, 6 years as well. I've very rarely cut anything just to see what would happen. I'm pretty impressed with it. I love my hair. It's so I'm keen to see where it grows to. It's like just let it keep growing and see what happens. And I reckon that's what everyone should try, because you just never know what your hair, the potential of your hair is. Yeah, hair is respected by the gods. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about so many things. I've just been meditating and downloading so much, and it's all pretty scary, really. Really. Yeah, I've just been all on this process of discovery over the last, over the last 20 years. But it just keeps getting better, like opening up more and more amazingness, more and more, like on every level, from connecting with nature to knowing about history and the world. Like there's just like all these, so many layers of truth, and you can go so deep into wherever you choose, and it's really, really amazing. Yeah, so going down into history has just opened up my eyes to so many things, and especially while living in community, it's been and running community. Like I've started to think about how do we structure our society like better, because our societies are not functioning correctly at the moment. Like you can't have humans not trusting each other. Like that, it doesn't work. It's only a downward spiral. Like this is not how we're meant to live. We're meant to live in places where there is love for everyone. And this is how it was in the past, and we can do it again now. And yeah, like this has been my journey of like, wow, okay, because I'd never even considered it. It's like It's the way the society is structured, which is everything. And if it's structured in the wrong way, it won't work. It'll fail. And you see that with civilizations. Like the ones that survived had to have had a system, societal system that worked for 3,000 years with the Egyptians and the Babylonians. I think 2,500 years, and like they had a structure that worked, right? And we've sort of forgotten that. It hasn't. We've gone into a different societal structure that doesn't. It's not fitting all our needs or meeting all our needs. It's falling short, and the system has been amazing because it's developed this technology. Humans, like we have the internet, we can connect, like all these magical technologies has maybe sped up because of the system, capitalistic system, right? We put priority on money and goods rather than putting priority on brotherhood and sisterhood and connecting the tribe together. Like we took that away, and that journey has created so much amazing things. And thank you for all the amazing people that developed all this technology. It's been awesome. And like here I am at the moment broadcasting on Starlink, like that technology is amazing because I'm out in the middle of in the country Australia. So it's like being able to use that technology to beam and talk live, actually. That's pretty cool. So yeah, the system's been amazing, but it's falling short because it's falling short. It's neglected that community. But there is systems where you can do both. Maybe not as the same priority with not so much driven by money, so you're more driven by creating spaces. Like you're going to build things that the people appreciate. Yeah, you're going to build spaces because so there's a lot of technology and lots of amazingness that's needed to make these beautiful structures that everyone can enjoy, and then you can celebrate, and musicians can play, and people can read poetry, and the world is your oyster because you have these beautiful spaces. But yeah, you have to have this technology, like being able to podcast anywhere. Like that is a very powerful tool for getting the message out, for spreading love. Right? That's technology has suddenly enabled us to project very fast and make a lot of voice known. That light is what we need to work towards. Yeah, so I love it when I get to this point of like stillness, and I'm like, where to next? So I think it's a good time to just take a breath. So we have been missing out on something really important, which is that connection with other humans. And I didn't realize this myself until I started with the community, and I didn't know anything about it. And fortunately, my partner had experience with building communities, so she knew how to get the ball rolling. And so with the community, so by living in community, I realized the importance of how important it is for other humans, like for humans to talk with other humans. It's so healing in so many ways. And when you talk to somebody who's on your wavelength, who gets you, it's even more easy. And so suddenly there's this amazing amount of like bond connection like happens overnight. Like people came here and connected, and 5 days later they're best friends for life. It's like this is how we're meant to live. We're meant to be in community, communing together. But it's not a commune. Like it's a village. It's just a place that where you build kinship, you build brotherhood, sisterhood. It's not. There's no. And this is an interesting thing. Like my alarm was like, well, it sounds like a religious cult, but it's not. It's a village. It's like where we all live together, right? You can practice whatever religion you want. Doesn't matter. It's just a general natural law. It's like you do good things. Do good things, and everyone does good things, and then harmony happens, and people heal, and it's how we're meant to live. And how do we get to that system, right? How do we get to that system? And that's what's been my question that I've been, it's like, well, there must be an answer in history. There must be an answer there, because they got us to here, and there's thousands of years of that. Like they've lived for thousands of years, and then discovering like the length of the Egyptian Empire and the Babylonians and maybe the Sumerians, and like they lived, their culture went for a long time. So they must have had a system that worked. So yeah, and that took me down the lines of kings and queens, and then realizing that kings and queens are actually like in this system, which has been the system up until 300 years ago, and now almost all countries are the opposite. There is no ruler. Thailand, Japan, but they've lost a lot of their powers. So it's like we've gone the complete far away as we could from a system that seemed to work for thousands of years. And yeah, that got me, okay, well, that's probably the right system. And then I went into the idea of like natural systems, because for running the community it was like, try not to put any rules in place. No rules, because rules then suddenly create boundaries, and then you have to jump over them, and it just causes more trouble. But if you have no rules, all people need to be is good-hearted. And Zarathustra, the prophet of Zoroastrianism, he said, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. That's all you need to do. And if everyone's doing that, then there's the harmony. Just got my glasses on. Yeah, so it's like, well, hang on a sec. Then what? Why? Like, what are the kings and queens? Who were they? Like, who? I know nothing about kings and queens. And that was my journey then. I went on the journey of discovering about the whole world of kings and queens, and it's been fascinating. Super, like, amazing. The story that for some reason we're not told. Yeah, it's fascinating. And then I went down the line further of like the bloodlines of kings. And then it's like, well, how do you select a king? And then that's, as I said yesterday in the podcast, that's where we got to the studying the zodiac and looked at the Dendra zodiac, which is in Hathor Temple, dedicated to Isis, I believe. And so, like, I'd read an excerpt from somewhere that said that the Davidic line of kings, so where Jesus was from, and it went down to Solomon, like those guys, like Jesus came from them. And that was when I started to understand that. That's like, well, okay, so Jesus was in that line of kings. He had the bloodline of king. And then I was like, well, what does that mean, having the bloodline of a king? And I guess what I've come to the conclusion is it means that for thousands of years there was you could say it's like a family or a genetic group of people that were good kings. And that line, so when I say good king, I mean like Jesus, like enlightened, and would be the king to run the kingdom, right? And then this is the idea of divine right of kings. So the idea that God chooses the king or queen. And what that means to me is that the enlightened king, he needs to be enlightened because he is being directed by God. God is channeling through him. He's just the puppet, and he's doing God's work, right? That's how I see the idea that, like, and Jesus being enlightened and a king, like his love that he can spread around the world is how we create heaven on earth, right? Everything comes from the king down. So you have a good king, and then everything filters down. And especially a king that has been chosen by God, because if you look in history, there's those kings, and they never lost a battle. They were warrior kings. They were always at the front, cheering their men on. And they would win battles because the men were so behind them, these kings. They adored the king. It's the only way a king can be, is to be adored, because he's actually pretty freaking cool, right? Like they're the kings we're talking about. Kings that, like, we put on a pedestal. But yeah, that guy's got it going on for whatever reason. But he's also just a good-hearted, like Jesus, good-hearted Jesus. And this bloodline deal is really interesting because, yeah, so Jesus, the story goes that Jesus' bloodline continued because Jesus didn't die. There was a story that they swapped for somebody else, I don't know, or that he somehow faked his death and he went to Europe and his bloodline of kings and queens went throughout Europe, and they were called the Fisher Kings, I guess, in reference to Jesus. And yeah, and then that bloodline went through many houses of Europe, and the Plantagenet kings of England from like after the Normans arrived, and then till about 1350, and then that bloodline, like these guys, if you read into their heroics and the things that they did, like they created the Magna Carta. Like there's a lot of like these kings tend to have big changes in the arts and law. They're trying to make improvements to their kingdoms rather than making them worse off. So you can see that in the policies that happen during this reigns. But you've got to understand that I think this is like the big secret of history, is that this has been hidden from us. This idea that we can select a enlightened person who's chosen by God to rule, right? It's pretty wild, but this is my understanding. And yeah, so it's been hidden from us deliberately, because whoever it is doesn't want us to know that we can live in heaven on earth. We can create civilizations that are freaking all love. Yeah, we can actually do that, and that's the idea of the fairy kingdom. Right, the stories of the fairy kingdoms, they existed, the fairy kingdoms. You know, when you go to a circus, we have a beautiful carnival just near us, and for 3 days, and it's like being in a fairyland for 3 days. And I was always like, why does it have to end? And I'm sure Burning Man's the same. It's like, why are we ending this? It's like, well, you can actually live in that all year round. Yeah, you don't have to, you're not partying all the time, but you can live in that vibe of electric, of people being creative and people like happily walking around, bouncing around. Like that's what we aim for. And it's been done. And yeah, it's from, you need to have a good ruler who and surrounds himself with good people, wise people. Like you have your, I don't know, I haven't looked into how they actually ran their kingdoms. There's not a lot of information on that either. It's very hard to find anything on tribes, how they ran tribes, how the tribes were structured, the culture, all gone. Well, all hard to find. Yeah. So yeah, there's So yeah, how do we run the kingdom? That's I'm pretty sure it's without rules. Mostly, we had guidelines. I feel like if you have conscious enough people, everyone knows what the rules are. You don't need to have right and wrong, and it's so important to have trust. Trust has to be very, like, you have to trust. You have to trust. You can't, like, I now just leave my keys in my motorbike because I'm like, I trust. Right? You have to start putting trust back in humans again. So yeah, and being in Australia, we're very lucky for that. There's that trust hasn't been lost in many places. Where I hear it has in a lot of places around the world, where everyone's stealing from each other, and that's a pretty bad sign of a society. Like, to get to that point, it's only a downward spiral. You have to build that love and harmony again, and that's what you have celebrations, and probably Brazil, you guys are probably way more connected as a culture because of all the cool things you still do. You've got carnival, and you're always dressing up and dancing. Yeah, I saw the testosterone. The highest testosterone of men in the world is from Brazil. I can see why. Yeah. So yeah, our systems aren't working, but there is a way to create that fairy kingdom, and we need to start talking about it and striving for it and making it happen. Because I see what's going on in the world now, and I feel that whoever's the powers that be, right, know that this new world is coming. This, where we do create the heaven on earth. And they know that it's coming, and so they're like, and they know they can't stop it, right? But they're gonna try and fuck it up as much as they can before they leave, or before they're caught, right? So that's why I'm speaking now, because I'm worried about what's going on in the world. I'm worried about that I don't see our leaders calling for peace. There actually seems to be playing the playbook of let's get some nuclear bombs thrown around. And I think I know we need to do something about that, because you can't just let it happen. They need to be aware of the consequences of what they're doing. We have to make them aware. I can see it, but these guys are all in this power game. Everyone's bribing everyone. Everyone's got dirt on everyone. They're all just scrambling, and I've got the biggest stick. And I think we need to do something about it. And that has been what do we do? How do we do it? I did put a post on TikTok today about doing a worldwide peace protest. So that peace protest is peacefully protesting, and you start to wear just wear white. I surrender, and we get the flags, white flags everywhere, all over the whole world. Everyone waving white flags. We need to let our leaders know that we're not happy with this. We need to tell them what we think peacefully, because it cannot be other than peacefully. It has to be meditating, dancing, singing. You could have a concert, play some beautiful music, get everyone dancing. That's what we need to do. We need to have the love vibe only. Otherwise we fall into their game. But yeah, we need to show the world leaders that this is not going to happen. I've seen Putin say that he's happy to talk. So they need to start talking. And if 99.999% of us don't want war, which I think is probably the number, because we know all we want to do is coexist in peace, right? Let me do my thing. You do your thing. Cool. No one's hurting each other. Everyone's having a great time, celebrating, just enjoying life, doing your thing, doing what you love to do, and caring about each other. That's what we have to strive for. And yeah, so we're in this, to me, is like a very serious moment in time. And we need to speak up. And so for me, it's like, what the hell? Because, yeah, it's me having to put myself right out there. Right out there. But by putting myself out there, I can make change. Like I can bring change. I've been shown now how to rebuild a little village. That's my dream, is to rebuild, create a sustainable village, 1,200 people, and you have 12 clans, and they all do a specific thing. Like they're all specialize in, but all those 12 things come together as the one tribe. And in the central space you have, I was thinking about earlier, you have your kings and queens that live there, but you also have big spaces for entertainment. You have all your, it's a beautiful space. This is the nature of, then you create this just joyous space where we all come together and celebrate. And that's why I think in the past we have an event every 2 months. There's always something to celebrate, and everyone gets together and they build stuff, and they, like the Balinese, you see the Balinese, they're always celebrating something, and it brings the community together because they're building their things and they're planning the event. Like, this is what brings people, and that's what I've realized with community, is that, or villages, or by having that harmony, you heal people, for one, but when everyone's together having a good time, like brothers and sisters, then like the village just, it becomes like, it glows, and all this creation starts to happen. People start to make stuff, they're all sharing, they're all helping each other, sharing ideas, like it, and then more people want to come, and then that's how the village grew bigger. It's because everyone wanted to be there, because there was cool people and cool things happening. Like, it's the natural law for survival for the village to, if it finds that harmony and all these amazing things are happening there, more people will come. If it hasn't found its harmony, then more people will go. So it's important for the okay, I don't know if I just got off on a really wild tangent, but it's so exciting, the design of how you structure a society. And so for me, yeah, this 12 clans is important, because people can't all live together. There's different energies of people. Some like gardening every day, getting up at 6 in the morning. And then there's the other guys that like to party and play music and dance. But they're like getting in at 6 a.m. And so you can't have them living together. But you have your clans, you have spaces that are pretty much, you'd almost think they're a separate entity. They have everything that they need, but they specialize in something. So I always have an idea that maybe the zodiac is telling us something about these clans. It's like, you've got Pisces, the fisherman, I don't know, and you've got the scales, they're the judges, and they all hang out together. And then you've got what else is there? The water bearer, so people need to manage the water for the tribe. So yeah, I believe that there's 12. If there's 12 zodiac, I believe more in the zodiac more and more every day, actually. And so if there's 12 categories of people, then create 12 categories or clans to allow those people to, and that you just have free flow between them all. So then naturally will naturally like find its balance. And the beautiful thing is people get to go and explore all these different clans because it's free. Like you got to have this harmonious type of world where we're all one, we're all connected, we all love each other. Doesn't matter who you are. Like your outer, we celebrate your outer because you're unique. You are unique. You are the only one of you. And we're like, hey dude, I love what you have become. It's like shit, yeah. And we celebrate everyone. There's no difference, right? Like that's the way we have to do it. And that's great. We can love and celebrate. Yeah, so much to talk about. But overall, the reason why I'm speaking now is because I'm worried about the world. And I've been shown a way how I can fix that. And I need to speak it now. And because I don't have any other option. Or God would be upset with me. Yeah. So, and then I go down this, like this is the scary bit for me, right? Is saying, well, I guess what I'm going to say is that I believe I have a genetic connection to the Fisher Kings and I guess down through the Davidic bloodline. And that's been like, what the hell? Why is that? How did that happen? And am I sure? Like, why would I go out and say this to the world if you're not 100% sure? But I also realized that I've done a lot of research and I've found lots of reasons for me to indicate that that's the case. And I'm going to talk about them now. But yeah, it's because we need to make changes now in the world. And we need to really prioritize saving this place from some crazies on their fingers on the nuclear buttons. Right, we have to stop that. And I know that there's so many of us that don't want a war. We don't want to see our children die. We don't want to see that. fucking how the Ukrainians and the Russians have already had to suffer enough. This is crazy. We live in a different world now. We don't have to fight each other. We really don't. We're all striving for the same thing, which is peace and love and harmony. That's all we're looking for. And to celebrate everyone's culture, everyone's languages, everyone, like, do whatever the hell you want. In love, right? In love. That's the key. Yeah, so I had to speak up. It's interesting. I giggle to myself. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, it's beautiful. Anyway, I have always stepped up to the challenges laid in front of me. So yeah, I started researching the bloodline that they talk about, and they call it the Grail, like the holy bloodline. And it's like, well, what was so special about it? Well, I think they were enlightened kings. They could see, and somehow they got that lineage happened in the past, and they showed that they were good kings. But there's been an attack on that bloodline, and that is why we don't know this history of truth about our kings and queens. That's why there's so many half-truths out there and misdirection. And I believe that, like, the Egyptian hieroglyphs, like, there's nothing to do with the Book of the Dead. It's to do with the book of selecting kings and queens. Like, our history has been manipulated to hide this fact from us, that a good king can change the world, right? A divinely chosen king can change the world. So yeah, here I am thinking, what the hell? And I have so many ideas on, like, changing things, and it's all around societal design, getting the model right, starting small in a little village, and practice it, make it happen, show the world that we can live in this fairy kingdom. Yeah, we have to show people how it's done, and then they can grow and build them all over the world, and they become hubs of consciousness. They become a place of, like, just, I love to say, celebration, creation, and connection. The 3 C's. Like, they're healing. There's all different types of healing modalities. Everything mixed in with the clans, and then people come and visit for healing, and then they can stay or go. Or it's a very, like, how we had the community here was everyone was invited, and everyone could stay as long as they want, and they could leave whenever they want, and then they could come back for a week and then leave again. It was like this free flow. And you would say that if you had that would happen within the clans. There's someone stay for a week and then move on, and they're always learning skills, or maybe they're sharing their skills, but then they can move on. Yeah, this is my little dream, is to create these sustainable villages. As say, like 1,200 people could be an amazing number to start with. But we need the funding to make that happen, which I know is out there. And yeah, all the learnings for myself over the last 3 years has really helped with understanding how you would structure like a system, a society. Like even, and you can take it so much from say the angles, the angel Saxons. They had common law, like they used law of the land, and it was passed down, I'm sure, thousands of years. So like learning those laws again, going right back to basics, I think would also be highly, like you want to minimize laws. You don't want to have too many because you have common sense. Like this is, to me, people when they're trusted and when they're given respect and love, then they just follow the law of respect and love. So and if you have support for people that need help, you have healing space for everyone in your community. So they get to the point, why would you want to steal from anyone? You know, it's just this common understanding of respect. And yeah, that's where we need to make our societies back to. We need to go back to that. And so my thinking is we start small and then expand. Rebuild that connection in your tribe, your community, whatever you want to call it, and then move out. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, these are all ideas that I want to make happen. And so that's why I need to speak out, because what I've discovered about me from my history tells me that there's a good indicator that I'm like of that line, which is freaking insane. But yeah, of kings. So that's pretty cool. How do I actually prove that? Yeah, and this is the fun bit. And I've gone deep, and I started to look at like attributes of kings. Okay, these kings, like physical attributes. And you get little clues through history. So one of them, so the king is always the judge. He's the final judge, right? He's the one who makes those. He's right at the top, and the king. And see, your images of kings from the past have been manipulated. The kings had beautiful long hair, right? Look at the Merovingians. They were the long-haired kings. When they allowed their hair to grow, that was a sign of being a king, right? This long, wavy hair of that line. And that's why judges now, they have different length wigs to show how close to their king's hair is. Yeah. You look at pictures of Solomon, he's got this long flowing hair, and he was one of the great kings of the arts and made his kingdom bountiful. Yeah, so that's one clue. And I've got beautiful flowing locks. Have a look at this. It just happened to have my brush here. This is so wild. Alright, so yeah, I got these beautiful flowing locks, as you can see. Very wavy like a king, right? Okay, and what's another one? This thing. See this thing here? I don't know what you call it. Everyone's can grow beards, right? And everyone can grow these things. But not everyone. Like there are not many people. And look at the Egyptian hieroglyphs. When they portray the king has this here, right? It's a symbol of that line, that genetic line. You know, the Egyptians had that bloodline from the Davidic bloodline. Like, I don't know how it all came together, and I don't know the story of it all, but there's a lot of story and this is what history has been telling us about forever, and this is what's been hidden from us in history. Right? This is why it's so wild information that has come to me. And I understand why, is because I'm of this line. So it's in my DNA, the memory of all this. Yeah. So I got this thing, got long flowing hair. This is the next one. This is an interesting one. If you look at, the Plantagenet kings of England were a really amazing group of kings that transformed England. I think way more than we give them credit for. And one of their kings, I think it was Edward Longshanks. Edward Longshanks. And have you ever wondered why he was called Longshanks? Because I can tell you that it's to do with the genetics of the king. And see this here? It's incredibly long Longshanks. It's like, I always wondered as a kid, I'm like, Jesus, and I walked around hiding it. It's like this part of my leg is super long for whatever reason. And then I started thinking, well, maybe that's in history, like we always wore the knickerbockers. Like we always rolled our pants up to our knee. And maybe that was a sign of the king. It was the length of his shank. Just thoughts. But these thoughts come to me, so I have to share them, even they might sound wild and amazing. So that's another one. What's another one? The big one. There's a really interesting one. Is the king in many, like there's always a reference to the left hand, and if you look at Lord of the Rings, Aragorn and the King of Gondor both hold the sword in their left hand when they're like charging into battle. And so left-handedness is a trait of the kings. And if you go to Saxon Who, which was the Anglo-Saxon, it was a Viking, a burial ship with a king in it, and with a golden sword. And his sword, there's a video on YouTube about how they believe he was left-handed from the wear on the sword, and it was also laid on his left side, I think. And so yeah, there's a very big correlation between left-handedness in history, and I believe it's also been covered up from us. That left-handedness is a symbol of the king. Right. So please look into that. Because Lady Justice, if you see her, she has her hand holding the sword in the left hand. Anyway, I'm left-handed. I write with my left hand, but I'm ambidextrous, so my right hand is stronger, but I'm very dexterous on my left. So I always wonder how that works with holding the sword. But yeah. So there's another little clue. God, yeah. There's another little clue. Free to investigate. I'm an extremely spiritual person. I've just been downloading, learning so much about spirituality for years, and it's just obsessed. Like, I love it. That's all I want to do, and I want to talk and share my ideas. That's all. I just want to learn and have great conversation, and laugh and have fun. Yeah, and create amazing places and spaces for humanity. Yeah. So it's pretty freaking cool. Because all I really am is just a kid from the country in Victoria. Had no idea that I would get to this point and have this realization. You know, they talk about getting to know who is your higher self. Like, you don't know until you get there. It's like, what the fuck? I got there and I'm like, are you serious? Does that, yeah. And so I'm coming to terms with all that. But I have so much wisdom and ideas on changing this planet, so I have to speak up. I can't sit in my little farm forever. Yeah. Anyway, that the other interesting thing is, like, as I'm claiming that like my heritage is through the king line, and there's a couple other things I can't think of right now in terms. What was it? That's right. One last thing that's quite interesting is, so I'm born in October, and I discovered that because I'm the balance, in the zodiac, I'm the Libra, which is the scales, which is judgment. And so I'm in that category there, and that is who I am. I'm all about balance and judgment. And I read an account or somewhere that they said that the Judaic line, like, when they were selecting their kings, they actually tried to get the best king, because you can imagine if you've got an amazing king who is just like dynamite, amazing, like everyone loves him, he builds amazing things, it's just like the whole kingdom's a hive of like love. Just lost my thought. I need someone to tell me what I was just talking about. Isn't that it's an amazing state when it just disappears, everything. So yeah, I want to change the world, and I have found myself in this position with this understanding. So here I am. Let's do this. It's going to be fun, is what I see. Yeah. I've seen how it can change people so quickly. Like, just living in these type of places, it's so natural, it's so normal. Like you you realize once you get comfortable in this type of environment, then you realize that is actually normal, and in your bones you feel normal. Like, and you suddenly realize, whoa, hang on, like living in my home, in the city, isolated with fences around everywhere, and not really talking to anybody, but I've got my TV in front of me, or I'm on YouTube, which is turned into our community, actually. YouTube and TikTok, we're communing with each other, fortunately. But yeah, it's not normal. Normal is this type of, and see, communal is a dirty word in most of the world. So it's a village. We're building a village, and everyone just gets on well together. But we have a system where we create so much cool amazingness and do lots of different creative stuff because we're abundant. We've got ample money. Money is not the issue. It's the creation. That's what we're doing. We're creating this new world through building amazingness with new technology and old technology, connection with nature, and connection with like humans again, like celebrating for the joy of who we are. Yeah, this is all possible. So, of course it's possible, and it helps if I stand up and start talking this truth. So, has to help. And we really need this peace movement all over the world. Like, to me, we need to stop this before it really gets out of hand. And yeah, we need to start making our voice heard. Yeah, I think that's something that people who are here to like make changes and change the world. Like, we've got to realize we actually have to. It's not going to just all unfold. We actually have to take steps. We all have to make our voice heard, because otherwise, there's other alternatives if we don't speak up and we don't take action and we don't start connecting with each other and start just creating beauty. Yeah. So much to speak about. Where to speak now? So I was going to talk to you about the zodiac and selection of kings, because I believe the preference was October because of the sign. That's the characteristics you want in a king. So I started looking into the zodiac and understanding the qualities of the Libran, and got down into Egypt, and I was like, let's look at the oldest evidence of astrology, because I believe astrology. I believe the positions of the planets when you were born affect. It's like a snapshot of your characteristics, because all these planets have an influence on us. They're beaming. We may not see it, but they're beaming their consciousness. And so wherever that snapshot is, your birth, These are your traits, character traits. And so the Egyptians, because they knew how important it was to have a good king and a queen, they knew how important it was. We can see for ourselves. So if you get a bad leader, it doesn't work. It's just everything falls apart. And we can see that in our world today. But if you've got a leader who's really holding it all together and doing it with a heart, yeah, you see their qualities. So yeah, October, I keep going back to October. So with October, in the this oldest astrology chart, the Dendara chart, it shows when they want the king to be born, which is under the star sign of Libra. And it also shows pretty certain that when the queen should be born, which was the Pisces. And to me that was really fascinating, because I've got there was like a evidence connection, and when the ideal king was. And so I'm also born in October. Yeah, all these little clues. Yeah. But yeah, this Dendara calendar astrology calendar is fascinating, because it has it looks like the story of the king and queen, and their progression to become the rightful king and queen, which is the ones, enlightened kings and queens who are connected with God. That should be the goal of every civilization, is to get the right leaders. You see them pop up in history. Augustus with the Romans. You read some of his stories. He said at the end of his life, "I hope I played my role well." To me, that's beautiful, because he was a man who made amazing changes to the Roman Empire, set it up for greatness. And then Julius Caesar. You look at Napoleon, he did for some time, and then I'm not sure what happened with Napoleon. But there's evidence of these great leaders. That change things. So yeah. I love you very much. I'm blown away that I'm saying this. But yes, it's all about, it's all about bringing harmony to this place again. It's been done, and it can be done again, and we can do it way better, because we've got so much more cool stuff. So much more stuff, so much wonderful technology that can just make living here so much more amazing. Yeah, we just have to change our mindset of what's possible. We have to make it happen. So yeah, I don't know where to. I'm gonna just keep doing my podcasts every day. Keep getting on TikTok, and just keep spreading the love. Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't plan to do this today. This is how the day sorted out. Like, I started 2 days ago, the podcast, and then like this morning I had just big downloads about this conversation. I was like, I gotta speak it. It just happens to be this day. So I don't know. God is amazing. God is amazing. Just life is amazing, and my belief is that, my knowing is that this is our heaven on earth, and we can make it that. It's such a beautiful planet. It's such beauty and so much the plants and the animals, and then there's also the humans. Yeah, it's all magnificent. So we have to remember that and strive for that again. Beautiful. How long has that been for? Let's see. An hour and 10. Now 1:11. There you go. Ooh. The divine is everywhere. By the way, I do enjoy doing podcasts. So if anyone wants to come and have a chat, I would love to. To the Mindful Earth, our little community. It's on pause at the moment. But we have a beautiful 37 acres here, just the southwest of Western Australia, in one of the most beautiful places on earth, I reckon. Although the whole earth is beautiful. But yeah, we're building this sustainable village to show how to do it. So please, if you want to get involved, let me know. Time that we did this. And worldwide peace protest is a must happen. Really, we've got to show our leaders that they're on the wrong track. And I feel that we can get the whole world involved. You get the people, we have access to everyone now. Like, we have the internet to communicate. We have TikTok. Like, TikTok's got how many billion users? Like, get every TikTok user using it, like flying a white flag to support their peace. The Chinese don't want peace. The Chinese don't want war. The Russians don't want war.